Salutations. It is that time again. It is a wonderful, wonderful day in the world of AI. And we get to talk about some cool things that I'm excited to share with you in the world of AI. And if you've never seen the show before, if you're new, perhaps you found me through the newsletter and you're a little bit curious about what the latest video is going to cover today, we're going to talk about the Midjourney Alpha web interface because it's a new favorite thing of mine. I've been having a lot of fun with Midjourney for quite some time. And Midjourney's been a tool I've used to generate images really since 2022 when it hit the stage. If I can go back in time a little bit, really one of the very first areas that I started to aggressively pursue artificial intelligence tools and capabilities on my own computing platform at home, my desktop here next to me, I started using Stable Diffusion to generate images with my GPUs that I had available to me. And did a little bit of gaming, and I had the available capacity to use those gaming graphics cards to generate images. But Stable Diffusion took quite a bit of additional time investment and skill development, and I'm very much an amateur when it comes to generating and consuming art. I've been a student of art for many years, and I have the benefit of having a close tutor to me. My wife is a professional graphic designer and artist. I've learned a great deal from her over the years in terms of styles. She's really driven me to visit museums and learn a lot more about art. But I wouldn't consider myself to be a real pinnacle artist. I'm much more a technician. I enjoy learning about these tools, but as I've been working in developing the video and the newsletter, I've got lots of places that there's a need for me to use these creative tools. And in building AI mistakes, one of the things that I've had the opportunity to do is learn how to use these tools for my own purposes. And so, what I want to share with you today is some of what I've discovered in using Midjourney and how this new web interface that is yet to be released to everyone has really changed my interaction with the toolkit. So, we're going to jump into Midjourney. I'll cover a little bit of the basics just so those of you that are not familiar with Midjourney at all can kind of have a little bit of context. And then we'll talk more about how I've been using it, what my favorite pieces are in terms of the tool itself, the web interface, what some of the new interface elements are, and kind of just take you through a little behind the scenes of how I've been using Midjourney and maybe get you excited about what's coming with the web interface. So let's take a step back. We'll go back to the early days of using Midjourney. And one of the cool things about Midjourney was kind of the way it got introduced. Now, I'll be honest and upfront here and just tell you that I've been using Discord for many years, but it is really not my favorite. It lets you do a lot of cool things. There's a lot of chat and discussion capability that's built into the tool. You can see that I am using it. I've got tons of discussions that are available in the web interface, but I'm not here to talk about Discord to a larger degree, but I have to talk about Discord a little bit simply because to use Midjourney, that has been the requirement. In fact, it has not been possible to use Midjourney outside of this web interface. And it's a little too busy for me, honestly. And even using Midjourney, I have created my flow with Midjourney as a direct message so that I can see my own history in the discussion and generation, because you can actually use Midjourney through their official app. And the downside to that is that it's mixed in with everybody else's stuff. I'm not a user of this every day, and my stuff gets lost. So I solved that problem on my own by just going and doing a direct message interface with the Midjourney bot. So I've got my entire history here. And that's actually one of the cool things about Midjourney is every time you generate something, it takes what you give it as the generation text It creates 4 images for you to work with, and then you can decide to upscale them. It gives you a choice. You can upscale each of the images. You can totally recycle the whole thing, or you could do a variation of each of the images. And in order to even do the generation, you have to remember what command you want to use with the Midjourney bot. So you typically have to do slash imagine, and then you type in the prompt of what you want to generate. And there's all sorts of additional parameters and things that you can specify. And I'll just be honest, I don't use this all the time. Okay. I'm not in here every day. And uh, the commands I remember are PowerShell command line things because I've spent many years working on computers. It's a struggle for me to remember everything there is inside of Midjourney. And that's kind of held me back from using it to a greater degree. But one of the cool things that's happened here recently is that Midjourney has released a new alpha. It's an entirely new interface for Midjourney. So I actually no longer have to go to Discord. And that's a really great thing for me because it solves several problems. One, I no longer have to go to the Midjourney website to explore the latest generations because you can actually go to midjourney.com. And if I do it now just in front of you, you can kind of see what that experience looks like. Oh, no, actually, now it brings me directly to the Explore tab. So that's not even, I don't even have to do that anymore as of this web interface. And that's actually how I came across this because they've been releasing it over time. And one of the things that they've also incorporated into this is they give you an idea of what they've been working on. They've got a change log of the web interface. They've got announcements. They do a regular office hours. And again, because I'm not an avid Midjourney user, I'm not in here all the time looking at all of the details. I tend to just kind of fall into this when I'm doing an image generation. And I will frequently use Midjourney to do some of the things that I need for, again, running the channel. So if you are not reading the newsletter, let me strongly recommend that. But I created the art for the newsletter header using Midjourney, and this is one of the results. And just to kind of give you a little bit behind the scenes, to create this image, I did a little bit of research because it's all about the prompting, right? And find places you can get some hints. And in this case, to generate this image, I cheated. I went to the Explore tab and I looked through the Explore tab to find something that looked similar to what I was looking for. And then I changed it. I adapted it to meet my needs. I gave it a different set of colors, but I used a prompt that somebody else had generated that was shared on the Explore tab to get me closer to the result that I wanted. And sometimes that's all I need is just that little bit of inspiration. But you can see my history of generation. So these are some of the images that I've generated over time. And here you can see that I was kind of playing around with what I wanted to do for the newsletter. So there's some sci-fi in here, just by simply saying faster than light travel. And I'm a sci-fi fan. And that's kind of where the idea came from, this idea of a little bit of motion blur and the stars to kind of give the example of things moving fast. Before I got to the light beams, though, I tried to generate this concept of a car driving fast, but I had a problem. And this is one of the things that happens with AI generations. And look, part of it's my inexperience because I don't spend all day doing this. But if you take a look at these images, there is something very noticeable about every one of these gauge clusters. All of the speedometer needles are basically low or set to 0. And I want to go fast. These aren't going to work. So I had to keep iterating until I finally hit upon the thing that was going to solve the problem for me. But I love this interface because I can very quickly look through my generations that are linked together. All of the buttons are exposed in the interface for me to directly hit upon. And there's actually a lot more of the features that are much more clearly put front and center. And so it's fun because as soon as I open the interface, I'm seeing the things that I've generated before. That provides its own set of inspirations to me. But they also put some nice little tools here on the side. The very first, of course, is you can easily change to dark mode. So, if you're working at night, you want to change the level of light, that's easy to do. They've got the update details here for you to consume. I'm going to go back to the white because I think that shows up a little bit better on the video. Do you have a preference of what kind of interface mode I'm using when I do the videos? I'd love to hear from you. Give me a comment during the broadcast, or maybe if you're watching the recording a little bit later. What do you like? Is the white a good look for the video? I think it's a little easier to look at, but maybe I'm wrong and you have a different opinion. But they've got the archive here so you can quickly look through all of your previous generations. You can choose between all of these handy filters. I've been using version 6 for a while, but it doesn't go back as far, right? If I go back to 5, now I've got a totally different set of images that were generated. So this is really handy, just kind of looking through for my own use of what I've done in the past. I've got some folders that I've created and apparently not used. They've got some chat. So if you are really into that Discord experience, it's okay. You have some amount of chat and interaction that's still possible. Of course, they've got a nice little help section that provides easy access to the in-depth documentation. And of course, you can get help with video tutorials. I'm not here to cover that kind of content. I just really want to talk about what I enjoy about this. And so I thought I'd kind of take you through my workflow a little bit. And as I'm kind of thinking through how I'm using it, why this really matters, 2 more little tidbits, and then we'll actually go into the demo and I'll show you what I'm doing. What's cool here is that, as I said, I'm not a super user of Midjourney, but I am an experienced user and I've renewed my subscription because I get a lot of value out of this. I really do think that Midjourney is doing some really great things, and I wouldn't have continued the subscription if I wasn't getting the value out of it. There are many tools that I have at my disposal in the AI universe. And look, Adobe is also a part of that story, as is Canva. They each kind of have their purpose and value to me and how I'm using these capabilities. But basically, the reason I have access to this in the alpha is they have been slowly rolling this out to various users. They started with the very heavy users that are generating tens of thousands of images. And now I'm in the more than 100 images group because I don't use it to the limit of the subscription that I have, but I do use it quite a bit. And this is actually one of my favorite things to do because I can generate the background imagery for the channel videos. And it's really activated my brain in terms of doing more artistic things. But what this means is that now that I'm getting access to it at more than 100 images, this is going to turn into a beta or a full release very soon. So if you have been considering if Midjourney is the tool for you, it's probably a good time to really seriously consider that option because this interface is pretty darn good. So let me show you some of the interface details that really matter to me. You just click in the box and create a prompt, right? Creativity is king. And again, you don't have to be a prompt genius. What idea do you have? What is the thing that you're trying to illustrate? Oftentimes, you can just type in a simple idea, and that will be enough to get you there. So you don't have to use any of the options at all. You can just, we'll hide the bar here. We'll do creativity is king, and we will let it begin generating images. I'll scroll to the top here so you can see the generation actually happening live. And as these results start to come back, you'll see that what I'm getting is all of the defaults, including the version 6. It's doing a square generation. There are no additional options that are in this. And sometimes I like to just type in something and see what comes out of it because that can really create some inspiration. This is a pretty common theme I've seen in the image generation. A woman with some very colorful elements to sort of a headdress or her person. If you look through the exploration, you're more than likely to see this kind of imagery. It's very popular in the AI generated art space. And if you need inspiration, you can just look through these and find them. What's cool is in this interface, you click on the image and you can just copy the prompt and you can take that and start using it. But there's some other options here that are nice. You can copy and download. You can also provide feedback to the folks at Midjourney by clicking on the heart and letting them know what it is that you like. But back to the creation that I'm doing. Let's say this isn't exactly what I'm looking for. I want something that is digital and not and how about natural landscapes? Because I like a good landscape to go behind. And then I can go over here to the options and change the level of stylization, how weird it gets. We'll make it really weird. We'll do a little bit of variety, and I'm going to minimize the stylization. But I like a good landscape. 4.3 is pretty good. I can choose my version. Version 6 has some pretty cool things. I'm not really sure what the raw is. I have not used that. And of course, personalize is a brand new feature that I have not even played with yet. So we're just going to choose a couple of those options and then we'll begin the generation. And you can see here that it's showing those additional options here in the interface for us to look at. And so when I come back to this later, because inevitably I'll leave this and come back in a long time and I won't remember what I've done, I can easily choose between those. And what's nice is I can click on them and look at the details to see what's coming out of it. So you can see by changing the prompt, things have made a little bit better. I've preloaded those options as the next round. And then what's great here is that I can zoom in and look at the details, and it's got all of my actions here for us to interact with. I can rerun it. I can reframe it. I can even do some mixing and matching. It's really much more user-friendly to me than the experience in Discord, because I need to be reminded of the actions that I can take and the kinds of things that I can do with each of the image. It also makes it really easy for me to flip through the image. So I can just use the keyboard keys left and right to jump between the various images. And if I find something that I like, I can vary it, I can upscale it in a creative way, and then that's going to go back into the queue. And as soon as I leave the image, you'll see those next generations are already started in here, and it's just a more pleasant experience. We're not talking about super complicated, but I do know that there are those of you out there that aren't Discord users, and having to type in /imagine and remember these parameters is a little bit on the frustrating side. And this has been a real benefit to me. And I wanted to show it to you because this is actually my favorite way to generate art. Adobe's got Firefly. It's right there in the tool set for you to use and build on top of. But most often I'm not doing a subsequent edit because my level of artistic talent is I just want to get an image and use what comes out of the machine. Maybe make a few minor inputs, but I don't want to do heavy image editing. I don't want to do layering. I kind of leave that to somebody else because I'm not really interested in doing that work, to be totally honest. And I want to be able to get to the thing that matters the most for me. And that is just generating a great backdrop image for the live broadcast, or coming up with a nice image to use as a header for the newsletter so that you can get the idea. Sometimes I'll use it for a social media post. I did one quite a long time ago on the idea of the compass and how that evolved from a technology standpoint. Just something that helps grab attention and helps really bring the idea to life. That's really all I'm looking for. And it's been really useful and beneficial for me. So I wanted to show it off and just kind of tell that story, share with you what we've got, do an exploration. I don't know if you're finding this useful or not, but sometimes it's nice just to have a chat. We've got a holiday weekend here in the US and got to take in the fireworks shows last night. So, maybe that's another thing that you're thinking about. One of the things that we've seen in AI is the combination of many different tools to kind of build an AI tool chain. So, here's another really kind of interesting thing that we can do. We can take an idea and we can generate a set of images around that idea. And we can take that image then as an output and we can take it over into another AI tool to do something additional with it. So you can actually take the output of this imagery and go to an AI tool that does video generation. And now you're able to take the imagery that you're looking for and kind of seed the subsequent video generation. And that's been a very common technique that I've seen. One of the other cool things that you can do with a tool like this is sometimes you just need to quickly illustrate the idea from a creative standpoint, and a still image is very good at helping to do exactly that. And what I really love about this is the kind of diversity that you get in each of the style generations. You can have it be really different and complex, and often I don't know what I'm looking for. And very frequently, with the diversity choices that are available now, I'm going to really like one or another of these. Now, what's interesting is it didn't do the fireworks at all, but actually, I'm really loving this Statue of Liberty image. Oh, look, there is a firework behind it. So it's a very tight close up. See, I wouldn't have thought of doing things that way, but because there's such a diversity of generation and model training in the tool, there's a lot of really great things that you can discover here, and it gives you a great starting point. I find this to be the tool that I come back to again and again. And I've used the Microsoft Creator Suite, I've used Adobe Firefly. There are lots of other websites. Leonardo.ai is another one that I've used quite a bit. And I just keep coming back here because I find this to be the most useful. And that's why it's really become my favorite tool. Like we talk about ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity. And look, I use Perplexity constantly throughout the day for doing research because that's a really useful tool. But I just get a sense of fun when I'm in here exploring and creating. I feel like I'm much more really a creator by using these kinds of tools. And the subscription costs me about $100 a year. And it just really, it's a fun part of the day for me when I put the video together to be able to go in here and find a great backdrop image. I get a lot of great inspiration. Sometimes I just want to come in here and look at pretty pictures. When I'm doing a journaling exercise or trying to open my mind and think about things, this is a really great way to do that. So I hope you found this to be useful. I'm really enjoying the interaction with you in the social channels. I love being here. I love doing this. It's a great time. I hope you're doing something to celebrate and enjoy the holiday weekend. If you've got questions about using this tool, if you got some ideas, hey, maybe we just need to have a one-on-one collaboration session. I do want you to know that even though I'm here on many different social media channels creating the videos, I would like to hear from you. Maybe we can do something together. Maybe we can learn from each other, spend a bit of time experimenting and making some AI mistakes. So go have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself, and we'll see you next time. Go make some mistakes.